Welcome everybody to the new episode Namaskaram, and here we are with our new weekly episode for this week. And today we're going to talk about and really delve into the most misunderstood word in the world, and specifically the Western world probably. The word name is karma. So it is already unlisted in the Oxford Dictionary. If you go by the dictionary meaning, it essentially they are talking about the reward and punishment thing, which is untrue basically. If you go by the Indian mythology we have, and if you go the back in the day, when it was mentioned in Vedas, in our Upanishads, in our Puranas, and even if you come a little later on, the yogis came, essentially the great yogi Sri Patanjali Yogi Maharaj, when he talked about, and then after that, like before that also Saptarishis, they also talked about it. Even generation after generation, gurus and yogis, they have been trying to remind us that every generation, through their different through the different ways of their work, so that we can understood this. It's a very fundamental things. When I say fundamental things, it is the foundation stone of our life, of any human life, because when I say it's a foundation stone, that means it can pretty much make us or break us, because if you're not paying enough attention to the foundation while building a structure, so it absolutely depends on the foundation level, how much attention we are paying into. So based on that, the stronger and the larger structure we want to build is absolutely depend on that. But while I'm saying this is a foundation stone, so so many times people get entangled with it, and that is the like, here comes our gurus and yogis. They come into the play because in every generation they have been trying to help us and showing us the way. They in the past, many of them they already shown, and how to transform this foundation level stone into something called, into new possibility. And it's pretty much how to transcend from this phase to another new possibility, what they're talking about, but which is essentially you will not find in the Oxford Dictionary, because most of the times, like in English, yeah, like, to be precise, most of the times those who translated, the translators, they maybe intentionally they did not put the exact meanings, which I really find is really annoying. So many times when you go by the Sanskrit text, and then when you're going for finding in today's world, maybe in some books they have mentioned the shlokas and all kinds of things, so facts and figures are not incongruent in nature. So maybe it's intentionally they have distorted, or maybe the person who was doing it, um, maybe translator did not have the enough knowledge. But I think, I don't believe in the latter one. I think the former is the main intention. Okay, anyone. So this is basically the all spiritual process is about. If you like, in the Indus Valley civilization, or if you go to the Indic civilization, India civilization, and the spiritual process is always they're talking about how we can, go out of this, and then we can attain the mukti, moksha, or the most appropriate word could be liberation in our life before we fall dead, or maybe while we are dying. Yes, in one way or others. The entire process was like, rooted in the direction. There could be so many ways. Maybe someone is doing their sadhana, then someone is doing, pranayamas, yogas, dhyana, dharana. Someone is maybe just simply playing the multiple roles in this physical world. Maybe a politician, maybe an actor, maybe a social worker, or maybe, someone is just simply playing a role, or maybe working in a corporate. So it is essentially is based on individuals' consciousness, how much they're conscious while they are doing an action in the day-to-day life, and how we're executing them, and how much entanglement they are having with This is essentially all it means. So let's move from like what exactly it's in my experience, and then next step would be what may not be in my experience. And the final step is probably look like what absolutely is not in my experience. So let's draw the outline in this way so we can pretty much relate with this. So it's basically like if you lose connection with your karma, it is so vital in our life. Pretty much you lose the ability to work like physically in this world. It's like a, I would say it's an software. It is a software has been installed in our hardware, this physical body, and without that software, or maybe it's, you can say, so politically correct word would be the operating system. Without that, we won't be able to run the machine, or maybe maybe we have any tab or mobile phone, whatever it is, we won't be able to run it without the operating system. It would be hard because then it's just a chunk. There is no use of it, right? Anyways, so karma is like in this way. It's a really it's a complex web of chain where every single way you will see it's an entanglement. Those who are knowing it and those who are you know doing some sort of practices, or they're somewhere they're connected in their day-to-day life with the consciousness, and they're a little bit aware of it. So there is it could be analogies like it's you're wearing a jewelry and it's like full of chains and golds and diamonds, all kinds of stuff, but there could be a small pin. If you press it, then everything will fall apart. It's something like that. So it takes really enormous attention and enormous time and dedication in order to, of course, get into that level. I'm still every day I'm practicing my sadhanas, I'm working on it. So I'm just sharing what I have learned so far and what I've felt so far within my experience. So this is why we need to like in we need to have a guru. A guru is like is like a road map, or maybe like when you are walking on the tunnel, so we have a headlight. So it's a torch, so it's pretty much showing you the way, and that's all. What you want to walk into that path or not is absolutely you. So this is the essential rule of gurus, because in the ancient time, if you go in our history, then you will see we had yogis, we had sages, and they were so you know they have done so much, and they were so um, spiritually and in every single way they were so much conscious enough, and that they have been building systems for the every single generations through these like spiritual sadhanas practices, and maybe following the rituals, all kinds of stuff they have built up just for the next generation, and they've been passing it to the next generation so that the next generation can understand, and they can definitely take a benefit out of it. And here comes the role of guru, because guru will definitely, the analogy I talked about, the web of chain, he can come, or she can come, and then unplug that pin for you, and then then you are just pretty much free man, you're already liberated. So if you learn like how to transform these every like when I say it's a possibility, like what essentially it means is like, if let's say in our life we are going through so many phases, maybe maybe someone is stressed out and depressed, or maybe nothing is going in his direction or her direction in the life, everything has been messed up, and then could be social problem, family problem, economical problem, it could be anything. But what essentially means is all kinds of phases on the experiences we have in our life, if we are able to transform that experience into our well-being, consciously, of course, then that means we are heading towards the path of liberation. And that means we are making a distance from our karma, and the what exactly we are doing. We're not entangled into it, and we are not so much into it that yes, fully identified with this. No, we have a distinct the division into it in distance. That means you're consciously making it, and which means it's going to help you that no matter what happens in your life, and you are pretty much using it for your own benefit. And here comes guru, can show you the ways, the methods, the techniques, the way you can use these technologies for your well-being in order to get rid of this bondage of karma. I mean, is there any, all karmas are same, or is there any different types of karmas? Yes. So it's a good question. Let's get into this. So essentially, we have, I mean, there could be many types of karmas. Like if you want to, get into those, the categorization, but essentially there are four types, which is, one is the primary one is the sanchita. Sanchita means is a like whole, it's a warehouse. It's a warehouse of karma. Like it's not only for this life, it's for many lives, like the past lives we had, and essentially what kind of impacts and what kind of, the work and the activity we have been doing. It's again passing to the next life. So sanchita is a heap of, karma. Like imagine like it's a huge, the Amazon has their warehouses, something like that. Next thing is prabdha. So in prabdha means we essentially it means it's an allotted karma, which means anyway it will manifest. So the question is whether we are taking it into consciously or unconsciously. We are just by compulsion. We are just doing it. So we'll get into the prabdha in a little bit in just a minute. Next thing is something called kriyama. Kriyama means, like I said, there are so many people you will find in your life. They're top successful entrepreneurs, businessmen, politicians, sports person, all kinds of stuff. Personas you'll see they have been performing their action and in a certain way that they have been able to perform very, very extraordinarily in their lives. Like where people come, in the concept with good karma, bad karma, those kind of things, whether I'm doing the right action or not. Next division is fourth one is agama. Agama means is essentially the meaning of agama is like the shapes, or you can say more technical ways, geometry. Geometry in the geometry, when I talk about for in the IT language, we have algorithms for all kinds of IT softwares we're running, because algorithms is essentially some geometry. It's following some pattern. It's following some shapes. It's changing after a certain period of time. Periodically, it's changing its pattern. So it's a geometry, same like algorithm. So karma is also like that, because karma is essentially in this physical body is also like the algorithms. Like I said, this software part of it, because this is the reason when I say like those people are in a spiritual journey and they're practicing their sadhana every single day. They're waking up early in the morning, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, and they're preparing, for the day after completion of their sadhana. They're doing practices. And of course, health is inevitable after doing this. They will definitely get the health benefit of it. But essentially, what definitely, gives more than health is like, because they become, in terms of mind and body, they become really calm, and it's really aligned. It's really aligned one with another. When I say mind and body is calm, that means energy is also aligned, and it's everything in incongruent. And then while everything is happening in this way, but there is also a tendency that one might get entangled into this, like people are in the prison, because this is why we'll see today in so many distorted way people are teaching yoga. They're doing beach yoga, hot yoga, aerobics in the gym. How can you teach yoga in the gym? I mean, it's so pristine and so powerful, and it's a spiritual process. It needs certain amount of commitment and the ambience in order to make, and then you can teach someone, you can initiate someone, you can start the process. So there is certain sort of integrity needs to be there, but which is not there today. Of course, people just absolutely made it into commerce, and they're just doing, I mean, without even properly understanding that what what kind of possibility it may bring in one's life. So, like I said, like in the just a minute before about prabdha. So prabdha means essentially, if I put it into very simplistic way, it doesn't influence like how I think or how I feel, like as everything, you know, like we have mind, body, and emotion, like as they, you know, like these are the things which are the consequences, by the way. So it prabdha doesn't have that kind of, you know, the intellect in order to differentiate them, which one is good, which one is bad for me. No. So it's essentially it's working based on the subconscious level, the inputs we have, or maybe you can say the sanchita we had from the previous life. So it's working based on that. So prabdha is like allotted from the sanchita. Some sort of karma has been given to you. If you finish them, then you can take more from the sanchita, and you can still working on that. There are people, there have been yogis, and there have been sages, those who have finished their multiple lifetimes karma, because they have been doing it so consciously, and they're new, and they're absolutely fully into that thing, lived their lives in so different way. So we're not going into that, because that is why guru, you know, guru is needed, because guru can tell us, and guru can show us the way. Guru can create the ambience I was talking about, and can, you know, push us to that, and we can, which is really really important for one's spiritual growth. So there could be, like I said, it is in the karma we had different sorts of memories. I'm not going into those different types of memories. Like we have, you know, evolutionary memories, we have genetic memories, we have karmic memories, and then, you know, articulate memories, all kinds of stuffs. Not going into those I'll specifically talk genetic memories, which is really aligned with our topic, the karma we are talking about, because there might be cases you heard about that dad lives through us because of this genetic memory. Dad lives through. So when I say it, like our ancestors, or maybe someone has died in the family and very close to us, and this very loved one, and then if we are so much entangled to that person, if you're not making some distinct, you know, distance from that person, so it is absolutely possible that the person who is living maybe get, you know, attracted with that person, and that which life was alive maybe a day before and is now dead. So they're finding a way, specifically in the initial 14 days. So there was, in India, there is sophisticated entire the death ritual process has been established for the ages. There is a scientific reason behind of this. So in this initial 14 days, they are really vulnerable, and then they are finding ways, because they're really attached in terms of the genetic memory with the, maybe within the family with someone, or maybe with their clothes, or maybe the stuffs they've been using. So it's really, really essential we need to take care of those things very, very consciously, to avoid this kind of you know, the contact with the life, or maybe someone has, you know, passed away from the family, and then other person maybe was very, very close, and it's really hard to, you know, move on. So if this is the case, here comes something called spiritual process called Shambhavi Mahamudra Kriya, which is 21 minutes practice, and it's really, really important. It is one of those kriyas. I mean, it is anybody can do it, like with about 14 years of age, and it is, I mean, it has really brought so many changes in many people's life. But in particularly in this context, if I talk about, like, there have been many testimonials, and in the Isha Foundation, they talked about that it could, Sadhguru has been guiding the people, like where someone has lost their you know, someone in the family, and going through really tough time, and couldn't able to move ahead, and just stuck at that thing. Even not only that, sometimes they felt, you know, they had bad dreams and all kinds of thoughts. So because this particular process is very, I mean, it's very personal. Once you do that, it's definitely is going to bring the well-being, physical well-being, mental well-being. At the same time, it's going to give you the freedom. You will get the freedom. You can able to make distance yourself from the past, from the dead, dead who already died, and they won't be able to live through you. So this kind of freedom and is the basically the fundamental aspiration for all, in all of us, and this is the main reason, like, the human being, they are going in so many different ways. Essentially, we want freedom, liberation, right? For everybody, it could be, definition could be different. It is and subjective. So when I talk about freedom, liberation, the best example one can understand about the prison. So in the prison, there are prisoners, and you will see everything's happening on time. Lights are going on, lights are going off. Someone is opening the door, foods are being served. You are being maybe taken to somewhere to work throughout the day. So you see everything is happening. Essentially, within the air, within that ambience, the person who is in that ambience, he or she knows that it is full of negativity and there is no freedom, there is no liberation. So essentially, for that person, when the person, when the person gets free and coming out, then for that person is like, so like, essentially what freedom means and liberation means. This is the best example and best analogy to understand. I mean, there could be many times in our life we feel like, is every important event of life is happening due to the our karma, like bad karma, good karma, or some things some things are circumstantial. Essentially, like, we have individual karma, like about the individual being, and there is something called collective karma. Collective karma means when we are living in a society, or maybe a group of people, or maybe best example would be nation. Like, multiple, there's, I mean, millions of, and for India, like, billion people are living, 1.4 billion. So that means there is a something called collective karma, which is beyond our capability, beyond our range, and it is not absolutely reward and punishment system, which many Abrahamic religion, by the way, believe anyway, without even understanding the depth into it. It is not reward and punishment system. I'll give you an example. This myth will be omitted forever. Suppose something happened. Maybe you went to a shopping mall, and then you went with your family, or maybe you went for watching movies, and maybe you went for shopping. And within this that period of time, maybe the shopping mall was under terrorist attack. There was some suicide bomber, so, and he just he also blown himself up or herself up, and then also he has blown the entire building, entire complex. So if someone has died into it, is it that person's fault? There could be thousands of other people. No, it is not their fault, and it is not the impact of their individual karma. Absolutely not. So here comes the collective karma, and because some things are impacting you badly, because being, like I said, there is something called circumstantial, because you have been available to that negative, that influence at that time, that the radar, in that radar you have been there, and it just attracted you, and you were not been able to pull yourself up. And although the person, there could be many innocent people, their many innocent life has lost. For example, when the wars are happening, civilian innocent people, they die. So absolutely it's not their fault. But when they die because of the circumstantial karma, the collective karma, because of for that. So of course, in this Abrahamic religion, what they believe is reward and punishment system, it doesn't work out here, right? Because the person who was in the, like, there could be hundreds and thousands of people in that mall. It's not their fault, right? They were present at that time. So it is absolutely not based on the reward and punishment ratio. It is way beyond that. So for example, the best example I give even my students is like, when we have children in home and they're growing up, we as the elder or parents, we should not create any kind of situation or the ambience in front of them which could expose to them into maybe hatred, anxiety, stress, abusiveness, maybe jealousy, all kinds of negative atrocities are available, are there in the society. We should not be creating such kind of things, so they're not exposed to such things. If they are, I mean, it is inevitable. It's going to impact them, which is right now exactly is happening in the West, as more specifically in Europe. You see, there are many European countries. I mean, you see in the France, and what is happening, what happened in Paris is happening even in Brussels, Luxembourg, London. I mean, and I mean, you name it, because it's going on. Some of the things are coming into the big picture in the national media, some are not. So people are going through so many things. Essentially, we elders, this is this is our responsibility and this is our fault, because maybe we have given them wrong teachings. They are going some fundamental, the indoctrinate kind of teaching, which is brainwashing them, and they're going into the wrong route of the life, and they're becoming radicalizing, and we are radicalizing them, and once they are radicalized, so is everything is out of your way, right? So essentially, this thing really help us if you're not exposing our child to such kind of things, so they can walk through the life very, untouched, entangled with other things. Cleaning the old karma every day by doing daily sadhana is so effective. It's really, really the effective way, if you ask me, in my experience, whatever I have understood so far. Because so many things, like I have discussed so far, is so many things that is out of our range, out of my range. I cannot, like, the sanchita I have is coming from the previous life. Of course, I do not have any. The prabdha is allotted. It's been allotted, like, by the time when I born. I can't do anything. But what I can do, what has been allotted to me, I can work upon that. I can try to get rid of that, and as early as quick possible. Let's say I'm wearing this t-shirt. It's so much loose, and this is probably one of the main reason I started wearing loose clothes. It's like wearing t-shirt so loose. Whenever I want, I can take it off, and it's not skinny, it's not skin tight. So when I'm taking it, it's so hard. Karma is like that. Karma is a web of chain, like I said. So we have to wear it, because if you want to make it through this physical world without karma, we can't operate. So like a software, like I said, it's an algorithm within the software. So without algorithm, software won't be able to work. And then when I'm wearing this, I have to make some distance. It has to be loose enough, right? So that I can walk through the life. And how can I make it loose? This is like physical, I show you. And karma is something is, we can't touch it. And it's non-physical. And in this case, how we can do that? Sadhana. And spiritual sadhana, we are doing every single day. We're waking up and doing our sadhana without having in our mind what we'll get out of it. No. Without even having any kind of expectation, we are doing it anyway, because we know somewhere we are just making some distance from this web of karma from ourselves. Okay. And then over the time, we're gaining, control over the life and the life tools, life energies we talked about, like the body and mind. If they're aligned, slowly the energy will also come into the place. It's also get aligned. And then extraordinary things, people have been doing for all the time, in every centuries, in every generation. So I think, yes, spiritual process, and then it's like a homecoming. Do not know about this in this life, then the whole life, maybe, I live in the assumption. There are people, like I said, Abrahamic religion, they're preaching so many things, and without even being actually knowing and implementing that thing in their life. So they're living in assumptions. There could be many people, those who are they're so-called non-religious, and then so they may be living in assumption. The essential meaning is that without this, karma is there. This is existential reality. Whether you believe it or not, whether you accept it, it doesn't make any difference. So the thing is, the smart way to understand the things, and then how we can do it, how we can use it for our own betterment, and we can make it as a foundation stone for the next transformation for ourselves, and for maybe in a big way, could be society, could be nation. So that's everything is about the karma word, guys. I hope I I was being able to, articulate everything in a way so that it was easy for you to understand. I just did my best, but at the end of the day, it's like most of the things I would say it is experiential. So if you haven't experienced anything like that, this would be my recommendation. Then please get involved with any sorts of spiritual process, adhana practice, yoga. It could be anything. I mean, which is, if you haven't already, then yeah, which is going to help you, to understand it, to become life oriented in the life. Because in life, money, then the material thing, the position, the social status, all kinds of things. It's like a illusion. After some period of time, we will get it. Maybe the question is whether we are getting it when we are young, in our 20s or 30s, or we are getting it when we are on our deathbed. So yes, if we get it early, then of course we will be able to live the life so meaningfully and in some better way, I believe, rather than understanding and realizing it just before the death, on the deathbed. So that's everything. I hope you will like this, and if you like this, then please like, follow, share, and to the channel, and just keep showing your love. And I really appreciate that. Namaskar.